everybody, this is Jacquelynne and it's Monday around noon where I am. I hope you're having a great day. And my assistant Deborah and I are coming to you with this Facebook Live. I had sent out an email last week to some people on my email list, and I asked them to write back and tell me what kind of questions they had, if there were any specific kind of projects they were looking for, or any struggles they were having. And so I sat down last night and I started to answer a bunch of those emails individually. And after a couple of hours, I figured out that it was just going to take me forever to answer all of those questions. So I wrote back to some people. If I didn't answer your question, I'm so sorry. I just realized that I would just never get through all those questions because we did get a lot. So what I decided to do was shoot a Facebook Live and just answer the most frequently asked questions, because I did find that a lot of the same questions were coming up over and over again. And so I thought that this would just be the best way to kind of answer some of your questions, and that way everybody could benefit from other people's questions. So a lot of you said that you are interested in embroidery, and so in the description to this video, I'm going to give you some links to some of my free embroidery tutorials, and there's also a link to my free embroidery page. And so between those video tutorials and that embroidery page, really you should be able to get started with your hand embroidery, and I think you'll find it a lot of fun. It's something we do a lot in the Art of Home Club, and I usually several times a year put free embroidery patterns posted on my blog. So again, I think it's something that you're really going to enjoy doing. A lot of people are interested in the hand embroidery, but they don't know where to start. So when we're done here, make sure that you check out those links in the video description, and I think that's going to be a great way for you to get started. So another thing that people had asked about was wool applique. A lot of people are interested in wool applique, and actually any applique pattern that you may have can be used for wool applique. And a lot of people, most people I personally do my wool applique by hand. Some people also do it by machine. I have a wool applique video in the Art of Home Club, so if you're interested in that, if you're already a member, the video is there for you. If you're not a member, you might want to consider joining the club so you could get that video with a whole bunch of other things. But something I wanted to show you was an example of some wool applique. So this was actually done by my friend Danny, and she did this all with machine. And so if you're kind of feeling stuck creatively, that's what a few people said when they wrote to me. They were feeling kind of stuck creatively, and I would recommend maybe just try to do a different technique. If you generally do applique either by machine or by hand with the regular cotton quilting fabrics, maybe pick up some wool and try to do wool applique. So this happens to be a project which we'll be doing in March in the Art of Home Club. So our patterns come out on the 20th of every month. So today is the 11th. So in a little over a week, we will be sending out the monthly patterns for March. And so this is one of the designs that we'll be doing. And I just wanted to show you from that collection, this is another wool applique design, which is included. The design is included in the Art of Home Club for March, and with this one, we have made a cute sewing machine cover. So how the Art of Home Club works is you always have several embroidery patterns to choose from. There's usually applique patterns to choose from. And then we also have some tutorials for a couple of different ways to do fabric painting. So with all the designs that you get in the club each month, you might decide to do wool applique with it. You might decide to do all embroidery with it. These two are machine applique. These were also done by my friend Danny, and she actually also did the words with her machine. If it was me, I probably would have hand embroidered those details. And for this one, this is actually one that I did, and I haven't put this in a project yet, but for this, and it's not quite done yet, it's actually, I did fabric painting, and then I added some embroidery details. And someone had asked me about adding buttons and embellishments, and I love using buttons and embellishments in my projects. I love buttons. I actually really love pom-pom fringe. I end up putting a lot of pom-pom fringe in my projects. I like rickrack. So one suggestion I have for this is if you're going to add something like buttons or beads, this project also has beads, the sewing machine cover, do that after your project is done, like after it's all pieced together and quilted, because what will happen is if you put your buttons on and then you try to quilt it, those buttons tend to get in the way. Sometimes if you're trying to do the piecing, trying to put the project together, the buttons can get in the way. And sometimes I know it's really hard to be patient because you want to add those buttons because they are so cute and it just adds so much to the project and you want to put them on right away. But trust me, it will be much easier to finish your project if you wait till the end to do the buttons. And that's kind of like your ta-da moment when you get it all done. But I did want to put these little buttons on there today just to show you what this would look like. So for March, we have an example of machine applique, we've got wool applique, we've got fabric painting with embroidery and buttons. And I mentioned that one of our projects is going to be the sewing machine cover. Another project is going to be this project book / large needle book. And I did this design. And for this, I did a combination of hand embroidery. And this is raw edge free motion applique, machine applique for the create part and the flower. And then I added a little button to the center of the flower. I mentioned that pom-pom fringe. We love the pom-pom fringe. I added that. So this is really, I love this project because as you can see, when you open it, it's got pockets for your little notions, maybe your scissors and things, maybe your embroidery floss could go in here, pens and pencils. It's got some more pockets where you can put things. It's even got a pocket which has a flap on it. So if you've got something something small and you're afraid it's going to get lost, you could put it in this pocket with the flap on it. And then it's got these big felt pages where you can put your threaded needles. I have a lot of the smaller needle books, and what happens is I like to pre-thread my needles because when I'm doing my embroidery or my applique, I like to be able to just pick up a needle and just keep stitching, and I don't want to have to keep stopping to rethread my needle. So this is really great. You can thread a whole bunch of needles and put them in here and have them all ready to go. But the problem with the small books is a lot of times the tails of all those threads come hanging at the bottom and they get tangled. So because this is bigger, you're going to have less tangling of your threads and you can really fit like a lot of threaded needles in here. So if you like to do handwork, I think you're really going to love having a needle book of this size. And then the other thing for this project is I made a pocket in the back. And this is just one of those composition books that I got at the dollar store. And that will fit in here. And you can make notes in here. If you don't want to put the notebook in there, you can use the back pocket to maybe put your patterns in, fold the patterns in half and put them in there, put notes in there, put a shopping list in there and take this whole thing with you when you go shopping. You could actually, if you're in the middle of a project, you could pin little snippets of your fabrics. And so you can have your fabrics together when you go to the fabric store. If you need to maybe pick up one more thing and you need to be able to match colors or whatever. So this is just a really great, I just love this project. This is one of my favorite things that we've come up with. And then we're also going to be doing these little scissor fobs in March. So if you don't know what a scissor fob is, it's basically just a little ornament that you can put on your scissors. It's cute, it looks cute, and it can help you from losing your scissors because you know they're kind of small, and sometimes if I have a whole bunch of my supplies in a basket, I tend to lose my scissors. So having a little ornament on there helps you to find your scissors easier. And then actually after I made this, I realized that something else you could do with these little felt flowers with this little embroidery in the center is you could put a pin back that you just get at the craft store on the back of this, and you can make like a bunch of little brooches. So whether you want to make the little brooches or the scissor fob, these are like great little gifts to make and give out to your friends. So we talk a lot about creativity. Some of you wrote and said you get stumped creatively. Like you just kind of get in a rut, or you just don't quite know where to go next. So just to show you some of the things that we can do with our designs, you can swap out different designs into different projects. So for example, I showed you my project book, but I also made one, like if you were really in a hurry, you could take a really pretty fabric and do that in the center of your project instead of doing the applique or the embroidery. So when we do our free block of the month, that's something that I give you the option to do. You can do the applique or you can do the embroidery, or you could do like a really pretty fabric in the center, and that just saves you a whole lot of time if you're looking for something quick. In the case of the Art of Home Club, we do a lot of mix or match. So like I said, this is embroidery and free motion raw edge applique. I could also use this painted version on the front of my little book. That would be really cute. I could use the machine applique version on the front of my little book. I could use the wool. So you can mix and match all of these. And you could also take any of these designs and use them on the center of your sewing machine cover, which is one of our projects. So if you have a problem just kind of getting started with projects, you want to do something a little different. You don't want to do the project exactly the way it's written or shown, but you get kind of stuck. The club might be a good option for you to consider, because we do give you a lot of ideas. I give you ideas about how to change colors and fabrics and that kind of thing. So that was one of the questions that I got, was about creativity and getting stuck. Somebody mentioned that they're looking for projects. They like small projects, and they're looking for something other than the typical table runner or pillow. And we do a lot of small quilts. We do the pillows and the table runners, but as you can see, we have a lot of other kinds of projects too. Oh, you know what? Somebody mentioned looking for projects to do with the grandchildren. I know a lot of people sew with their grandchildren. They're teaching their grandchildren how to sew. In our private Facebook group lately, we've had people posting pictures of their 3-year-olds working on like little hex season things. So cute. So it's always important to start those next generations on sewing and just help them with their creativity, because everybody is creative and everybody needs to express themselves. So this is so great for kids. You know, let them pick their project, let them pick something simple like the needle book or the sewing machine cover, and then let them pick which design they want to do in the center, and then decide, do they want to applique it, do they want to paint it? Fabric painting is great for kids. And maybe if you've never done fabric painting, you could learn together, learn something new together. So it's great kind of together time for moms and grandmoms to spend with the kids. So a couple of people mentioned wanting to learn how to mix techniques. So this was a mixed technique project, and I'll show you a couple of others. Now, kind of in conjunction with this, a lot of people mentioned machine quilting, that they wanted to learn, or that they were really, really afraid of it, and then the mixed media. So I just wanted to show you these because we mixed a lot of techniques in these, including the free motion embroidery. Not embroidery, the free motion applique and quilting. So for this one, for example, I did free motion quilting in the backgrounds, and then I did some more of that raw edge applique. And this was also had the raw edge applique. And this one has some more of the free motion machine quilting. And one of the tips I had for people who said they didn't know where to start with machine quilting, or they were afraid of it, was just get a bunch of scraps of fabric. I mean, we all have scraps of fabric laying around. You could just get some cheap cotton muslin that's like $3 a yard or something, and get some batting scraps and layer them together, and just do like a small piece, like a mug rug size, and just start practicing on your machine. You're gonna have to drop the feed dogs, and your sewing machine manual should explain how to do that. And we usually use a darning foot to do that. And we do have in the club a video tutorial for doing some really simple machine quilting. And so yeah, just start with some scraps, get some cheap fabric, and at the end, you know, it's just fabric. Who cares if you mess it up? And then you could start on little projects like this, like these little mug rugs. And then you could go a little bit bigger, something like this, and then you could go to something a little bit bigger, like the sewing machine cover or a little mini quilt or something like that. So if you're trying to get started with the free motion machine quilting, that is a great way to get started. Start with scraps, do a small project, then a little bit bigger project, and pretty soon you will really increase your confidence. Another thing several people mentioned was cross stitch, and I know cross stitch has been getting really, really popular. And personally, I used to do a lot of cross stitch myself. I've got a lot of supplies in my basement. I haven't done it in a lot of years because I've just gotten more into the hand embroidery. So I'm just kind of waiting to see how the cross stitch craze goes. Embroidery was kind of out of fashion for a little while, and then a couple years ago it came back really big, and we're seeing embroidery everywhere. So who knows, we might start seeing a lot more cross stitch, and maybe we will add it to the club at some point, but right now we do not have it in the club. Another thing that people mentioned was machine embroidery. It seems like a lot of you guys have these machine embroidery machines, which is really awesome. That is something else that we do not cover in the club. It requires a special machine and special software, which a lot of people do not have. And we like to keep our club projects to things that are basic supplies and just a basic sewing machine. So maybe at some time in the future we might add some files for machine embroidery, but right now we don't have any plans in the near future to add machine embroidery files. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't make the projects and put something with machine embroidery in your project. I mean, you could make like these little books and maybe use your machine embroidery to personalize them and put somebody's name on them or something like that. Another thing that some people mentioned was paper piecing, that they wanted to learn paper piecing. So we actually have a mystery sew along coming up in the club with paper piecing. And I will be honest, I am not a paper piecing expert. It's been a long time since I did it. So my friend Danny actually put these together, and Danny and I are going to get together and we're going to work on some paper piecing. And then once I get the paper piecing figured out, I'm going to come and show you guys how to do these little trees. So that's another thing I wanted to mention, is that I just like being creative and making things and learning new things, and then I get to come to you guys and I get to show you what I'm doing right now and show you how to do it. So I'm just kind of like a lot of you. I'm just always looking for something new to do, something new to learn. There's so many things to learn, and I love trying to figure out first how to do them, and then second, how to combine a lot of those techniques and put them in a project and just make it really fun. So like I said, we've got the embroidery, we've got machine applique, we've got a couple different ways to do the fabric painting. Something else that came up over and over again is people telling me that they have a lot of unfinished projects, UFOs. And I'm here to tell you, we all have those. And I actually have a couple of articles that I wrote a while back. One of them is how to sort through your UFOs, because you actually, you don't have to hold on to all of your UFOs. Sometimes we feel like we started something, we really have to hold on to it and until it's finished. And sometimes, you just get beyond something and you don't need to be psychologically or physically bogged down by a lot of unfinished projects. So I have an article about that. And then I also have another article about, okay, so now once you've sorted your unfinished projects, what are some tips to actually get them done? And a lot of times, a deadline is a really good way to get things done. And so something we do in the club is we have started doing swaps. Last Christmas, we made Christmas ornaments, and the people who wanted to participate sent in 2 Christmas ornaments, and one of them got put on our tree for our town's local Christmas house tour. And we got so many great comments of people coming through the building about this tree with all of these beautiful handmade ornaments by our club members. And then, like I said, they sent in 2, so one of their ornaments got put on the tree, and then the other one got put into the swap, and so all of the members ended up getting an ornament back. So having a deadline for that swap is a really kind of a way to light a fire under you to get things done. And this spring, we're going to be doing another swap, and we're going to be doing mug rugs. And what we're going to do with that swap is, again, if you wanted to participate, you would send in 2 mug rugs. One of them will get swapped with another member, so you would get back a mug rug made by another member. The other one is going to be donated to our local Meals on Wheels, and they're going to be donating these little handmade gifts to their clients. And it's really going to like brighten up their day. Imagine that, you know, you're an elderly person or a shut-in person who doesn't get out very much, and Meals on Wheels delivers your meals, and one day you get this adorable little handmade mug rug that you can use on your table while you're eating your meal. So it's going to be a great way to brighten people's day and do the swap, and I am super, super excited about that. So we had another comment, and I'm going to step out of the frame for a second because my piece of paper fell on the floor. So hang on 1 minute. Okay, so I wanted to grab this because I just really love this email and I wanted to get this right. I printed this out. This was an email that I received from Betty. And Betty said, I would like to learn to transfer patterns for embroidery. I would like to learn to knit. I would like decorating ideas for my house. And I just love to make things. Pretty things, paper flowers, work with felt and wool. Help, I can't stop. I want to learn everything. And I just love that because Betty, I feel exactly the same way you do. That's kind of what I was just talking about a little while ago about how I just want and need to make things. So if that's kind of how you feel, you might be a really good fit for the Art of Home Club, which I'll be sending out information about all this week. Another letter that we got was from Chris, and she said she's interested in simple projects that include a tutorial. You do really good YouTube tutorials. Thanks, Chris. That's really nice of you to say. I also like doing small project as a group. I like to see photos of other members' projects. You recently talked about mixed media projects, and I would love to learn how it's done. So I'm just telling you, Chris, it's funny. This isn't like, I really just wanted to answer your questions in this video, but I really just want to tell you that, again, if this is kind of where you're coming from, I think you would be a really good fit for the Art of Home Club because we do have a lot of tutorials. We do a lot of these small, there's a little pin cushion that we did last year. You know, these small, easy projects. We do the mixed media projects. The other thing is, we don't just do the small projects, we also have some larger projects too. And I was talking about giving you a lot of ideas and options. So we did this really cute quilt, and this is a lap size quilt. This was one that we did, I think we did this back in the fall. And if you can see, I'm gonna hold it up, it had these little embroidered animals on it. And so if you're going to do the embroidery, and make the large quilt, well, lap size quilt, it's going to be a little bit more of a time investment than, say, another project. But that's what's great about the club, because in addition to the option to do the embroidered animals, and I think there were 6 animals. So you only needed 4 for this project, but there were 6 to choose from. So you could choose any 4 that you wanted to do. And almost all of our collections contain more designs than you will need to do the project. So if there's one that doesn't particularly speak to you or one that's more kind of relevant to you, you just pick the ones that you want to do. So again, a little bit more time to do the embroidery, but you also had an option to do applique. So if you would rather applique all these animals, you could do that. You could also make a tote bag, and here's my tote bags. So, like for this one, the pattern, the collection not only had the embroidery and applique patterns and the instructions to make that quilt that I just showed you, it also had a tote bag. And we did this with fabric painting and then embroidery. So if you're looking for a quicker project, you only have to make 1 block for this. This one happened to be fabric painted. So, or you could do the applique, or you could do all embroidery. Again, do whatever you want, and then you could make this into a tote bag. And this one, it says read, so it's really cute for a kid, or for you, if you need a little tote bag to go to the library or something. And then we also had an option that said sew. So if you wanted to use this for a sewing bag, you could just make it say sew all around, and this could be your sewing tote bag. So that's an example again of how you have options to do a quick project or a larger project, whatever you have time for. Somebody recommended minis, and again, I showed you a few times these little like mug rugs and mini quilts that we did a while back. I showed you the pin cushions, which are little projects. What else? Tote bags. So we did a tutorial on how to do a zippered tote bag and pouch. So here's a tote bag with a zipper, and this is one of the designs from that collection, and this one was done with machine applique. And then what I did, I took an applique design from a different collection and used the tote bag pattern. So I mixed and matched. It was the tote bag pattern for this collection, and then I used the cat from a different collection to make the cat bag. So there's a lot of mixing and matching options, and you could do that. We do that in the club a lot, but you could do that too with your projects. You know, if you like a quilt pattern but maybe don't like the applique designs that are included, you could try to take applique designs from a different project and put them in the quilt. You just have to make sure that they're the right size. So that might take some resizing if you're doing that on your own and not in the club. In the club, we tell you how to size everything, but if you're doing it on your own, you'll just have to make sure that your appliques are going to fit in the quilt or the design the proper way. So finally, I had a letter from Beth, and she said, sometimes I just get stuck creatively and need some inspiration. So I think that we've given you a lot of inspiration here today. I hope that when you get done with this video, you will run to your sewing machine and maybe just play with some different colors that you haven't played with before, or find some videos. Like I said, we've got the embroidery videos there. Try something new that you haven't done before. In the club, we have a great community. We have our private Facebook group, which is just for club members, and we can talk about our projects and ask for help. So that's, again, another great benefit of being in the club. So I hope, I'm just looking around to see if I've covered all of our samples and things that I brought out for you today. I hope I have answered a lot of your questions and given you some tips that you can use. And don't forget to check out those links at the top, because you're going to find a lot of really useful information there. Remember, there's the articles about the UFOs, and there's the free embroidery patterns and the embroidery videos. So I hope you have fun today. I hope you go and try something new. And Alfie is walking around the studio. And Alfie really enjoys being in the studio with us. He gets his bone at the beginning of the day, and he actually likes to take that bone and he hides it all around the office. We hear him like hiding it in different rooms, and then he'll go and he'll look for it and he'll come back and bring it back to us. So he's always a lot of company in the studio. So that's it. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I will try to get in there and answer them later today. And I hope you have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.